All right. Well, it's exciting to be back here in New Orleans. Here last year. And so the world has changed. The world of cyber always changes, but there's some things that we always still have to do the same. So let me briefly, for those of you that are not familiar, the question sometimes comes up, why is J.P.Morgan talking about cybersecurity? Well, we as a firm spend $12 billion a year on technology. We spend $600 to $700 million a year additional on cybersecurity. The two are not always the same thing, right? A lot of people just assume tech is cyber. We have security operations centers, very robust fraud engines with AI in it. We're going to get to AI momentarily. But we also handle 25% of the world's financial transactions on any given day. And that means we see fraud and cyber attacks and all of this from every different angle. One of the things that we do, right, is that hackers go where it's easiest. Yes, every financial institution will always have to sit there and worry about how could they be the point of attack. But hackers, again, they'll go where people are not spending $12 billion. So they go to a lot of our clients, to you. Small and medium-sized businesses are absolutely a much bigger attack surface for them, right, because it's easier to get in. One of the things we did is we started an educational program about 8 years ago. And part of this is to teach people it's not just about technology. Yes, technology is an important component of this. We go deep into people's technology and help them understand how they can be more secure. But I go through as well, what are you doing in your everyday that could be putting you, your family, and your business at risk? Because a hacker looks at you as an opportunity of one, right? They want into your business, they'll get into you personally if they can't get through the front doors of your business. So I do full sessions. Today, we're going to give you a little bit of flavor on your business and you. All right. So when we look at the headlines of cyber, right, you are seeing a fraction of what is going on, right? You might get your news on a newspaper, iPad, phone. You're seeing a fraction. I get a report about newspaper thick every day on all the attacks that have never hit the news. Okay? Cybercrime is now considered the third largest economy behind the US and China. It's massive. Okay? It is more profitable than drug trade, and you probably read more about that. Okay? But what that means is cyber is here to stay because it's an industry of its own. And we all have to learn how to understand this. The government is not coming to rescue anybody on this. They're busy, right, with loads of their own type of cyber attacks. So we all have to learn this. There is no industry that is immune from cyber attacks. Everybody looks at the banks and going, oh, I sure hope they have my stuff. You know, listen, the banks, some of the banks are doing okay, some not so much these days. But from a cyber perspective, we're doing okay. We're receiving a lot. But I am way more worried about other industries. If you've ever visited a doctor, have ever gotten medical care, right, in any form, your information's on the dark web. It's out there, right? Medical information is fantastic for hackers. That's one of the key ones they go for. I lose sleep over infrastructure, airports going down, nuclear power plants, the grid, things like that. Oil and gas, construction companies, huge targets, they don't have the same level of cybersecurity, right? A lot of the banks, we work with one another, we partner, we share information about patterns of attack and things of that nature. Now, one of the other big things that's making the headlines these days, artificial intelligence. Who can open up a newspaper or their iPad or something without seeing a newsletter without AI in it? ChatGPT, right? I'm sure people have seen that. So let's first explain what it is. It is meant to be, a lot of people are talking about this is groundbreaking. This is the new World Wide Web, the new frontier. And everybody's going, oh my gosh, what is this? You're already living with a lot of artificial intelligence. You have Alexa in your house. If you drive a Tesla and you've ever used that computer, right? There's a lot of machine learning and artificial intelligence around you. What changed is that there's just about 5 to 10 companies that do artificial intelligence. Well, one of them, named OpenAI, provided ChatGPT to the public. And this is the first time. This was in November or December of last year. And now there are all these industries that are able to get this publicly, and they're trying to harness it for their own industry. So you're reading some scary things, some interesting things. Let's unfold this a little bit because this is also going to affect cyber. So ChatGPT, if you've ever used it yet, it'll take exams, it'll write poems, it'll write letters in seconds, right? Deep fakes, the visual intelligence, is also something that we worry about. So there's a visual and a word tool. Now, when we look at the headlines, right, in artificial intelligence, you'll see things. The AI arms race is changing. We're going to compete with China. It's aced all of its exams. Apparently, it took the bar exam and passed successfully. It also has apparently cured cancer. It accelerates vehicle development, loads of different things. So you're going, this is a lot, right? It can be very overwhelming when you read this, but you're also reading some creepy things, right? You're also reading how Bing, is kind of weird, talking bad. I talked to a colleague recently, and I said, so how is it? And he goes, well, we had to put it away. We had to go back to the developers because it's sounding a lot like Archie Bunker. Okay, and if any of you know Archie Bunker, he's an idiot, right? He's a jerk. Does not say nice things. So I felt that was a good way of looking at it. But there are lots of improvements that are still going to have to be made. There are lots of industries that are going to be changing because of this. You will probably never talk to a person in a call center again. You are probably only going to be talking to a chat, right? They can even have video screens with somebody that looks like they're saying the words. So dial 0 for, person is probably going to be harder and harder. But advertising and media, I'm going to be able to I don't even have to hire people anymore. I'm going to say, I want this profile person with green hair, orange tattoos to be the, face of whatever. And I can put words in its mouth. I don't even have to hire anybody anymore. It's going to change the legal industry. It's going to be changing loads of industries. So finance is already playing with it, retail, the defense contractors are looking at it, healthcare, energy. Now, we talk about it all in the positive, but there's also an elephant in the room. I think of AI a little bit like nuclear power. A lot of good that can come out of it. There's also stuff that is dangerous if you don't or you're not driving carefully, right? That can be used in this. And this is what we also worry about with hackers. I had one guy in the oil and gas industry who says, so AI ingests whatever you feed it, and then it can have basically ingested the entire internet. But if I feed it, guy in the oil and gas said, if I feed it engineering studies, and I say, this is how this bridge was built, this was built, and this was built, now tell me where the vulnerabilities are. How could that be used against me? Right? So these are the concerns that people are already having. Different than the World Wide Web, cyber is already thinking about how do we have to protect people. Because initially when the internet came out, we didn't really think about cyber. It was more of an afterthought. So this is where there is a lot of thought coming into how do we protect. Now let me give you another example of you can't believe everything that it says. And I want you all to become more familiar with this, with AI. If you've ever driven in a Tesla, it's kind of amazing because when you're in or another EV, the computer screen shows all the different cars that are driving around you. Here, for example, in this case, it'll say vehicle. This is a person. This is a person, a vehicle, person. But oh, look, over here, it has mistaken that this person is actually a vehicle because of a background that it's up against. You cannot be sure of everything that it says. You cannot trust it. There was another example of the AI looked at two people, okay? With 99% certainty, this is a person and this is a bird, okay? And we laugh, but it's with 98% certainty. And I already have people who are saying, oh, ChatGPT said so. That's where we all have to get very familiar with what it's been fed, what it does. You cannot trust what it sees. Now, there's one professor that I really admire, a Wharton professor, who actually gave this as an assignment. He said, you're going to do all your assignments with AI. I'm going to read you a little bit what he wrote in his policy for class. I expect you to use AI and image generation tools at a minimum in this class. In fact, assignments will require it. It is an emerging skill, and I provide tutorials, etc. Be aware of the limits of ChatGPT. If you provide minimum effort prompts, you will get low quality results. Okay? You will need to refine your prompts in order to get good outcomes. This will take work. Don't trust anything it says. If you can't, it gives you a number of facts, assume it's wrong unless you can actually check it. Now, I myself how many in this room have actually played with ChatGPT or other? Excellent, fantastic. So one of the questions, I asked it to write poems. I asked it to write the poems in different languages, did everything very quickly. I also asked it, what were the top Powerball winning numbers of all time, right? Why wouldn't I ask that? And it first told me it's a game of chance. I don't know. But then I said, spit it out. Tell me what they are. It only had data up to September 2021. I asked, how far do you go back? 1992. But it gave me 6 numbers. How do I know those are correct? I don't. I would probably need several hours of work to figure it out. When I do a Google search, I get 10 answers of responses where I could go, that's the rabbit hole I want to go down. I get to pick and choose. I don't get to pick and choose often with the AI. This is where we're all going to have to understand how to work this. But this is where it's a tool that should be an assistant for an area you understand, not something you don't know something about. Okay? So when it comes to cyber in particular, there are several areas we're already very concerned about. Social engineering. The phishing emails are only going to get better. They are not about win a free iPad. They're going to be specific about you, about your company. If you don't already have phishing training in your company, you have to do this, even if you're a very small firm, because people have to learn how to mitigate this. Otherwise, the malware is going to come in, right? It can be fed disinformation, weaponized AI. People who are not very good at writing code, they're asking the chatbot to write malware, ransomware, and shoot it off. You didn't see the map out here in front of our table. It's an actual live map, an attack map of the attacks that are going on right now. It's only going to get worse. But these are things that we worry about. And also authentication. How do you know? What do you trust? Do you trust the information? What if you're bringing in a file from another company? How do you know that that's real? If artificial intelligence is in stage 1 right now, it's only going to get more difficult, right? The founders of AI, they're also saying there will be rules of the road that have to be written. Every country is going to have to sign a contract that it will not be used against humans in any bad way. So it's going to be regulated, but hackers aren't necessarily going to abide by that. So this is where we have to double down on the things that we know for cybersecurity. Okay? You have to, if you're kind of like, well, we're skating along, we're not really investing that much money right now on cyber, now is the time, right? Because it's only going to get worse. So let's talk about how an attack actually happens. So what happens is a hacker researches their target, okay? And I pick J.P.Morgan. And I go, oh, I saw his information. I go on the dark web. I also look on the public web about what I can find out about him. News, social media, and I start socially engineering him at his company. Most social engineering happens today through phishing. 80% of all cyber attacks that are successful today start with phishing. Again, it seems like, come on, we don't know. These are very good phishing emails. Somebody somewhere clicks on something. It might say, invoice overdue. And your accountant in the company says, we always pay we paid that vendor. Let me click on this and see if this is real. Nothing happens on the screen, right? So the employee does not alert anybody in HR or in IT. But a hacker could be downloading malware onto a system, right? Real excited, I'm in. And then what they're going to do is reconnaissance on a system for weeks, months, or even half a year before they launch their final attack. They usually only have one opportunity. We see our clients be hit by 3 things most commonly. wire transfer fraud, in which somebody is doing a wire. Our fraud engine might detect, wait a minute, never done a wire to there before, and by the way, the account that money was moved to has only been open for 3 days. 2 people have ever moved money into that account. Like, we pick up on all of that. 95% of the cases where people's wire transfer fraud has gone wrong is when a third party when they've had third party compromise, meaning the vendors you're dealing with have had compromise. The information comes in, right? And this is where you always need to assume the smaller the vendor, even if you know them super well, you have to call back and ask them to validate the account number. The other big thing that's going on right now is check washing, old school. They're taking checks out of the post office or the receiving end, washing the check, right? So this is, again, where we're pushing to online tools. The second one is business email compromise. That's when somebody comes in and is reading emails right along with you. They're reading the files, the HR data, the intellectual property, what you're doing, the acquisition that you're going to make. They're reading right along with you, and they could be using that information against you. The worst case is ransomware. Ransomware is when you come in on a Monday and you have no access to any file, right? And it says, I need $1 million in Bitcoin before I give my company files back, or give you your company files back. So I always like to ask the question, how many of you feel you're ready for ransomware? Okay, all right, that many, okay. So here is the thing, nobody is ready for this. When I go in and I meet with companies, I often talk about how ready do we feel, or what do we do if we have ransomware? 95% of people go, I call the IT guy. Done. I'm done. I call the IT guy. If you call the IT guy and I say, well, there are plenty of examples where the IT guy is going to tell you it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks before you're back online. So the Metropolitan Opera in New York City got hacked and had ransomware in early December. I can talk about it because it is public. They came in and called IT. Let's back it up. We got performances to do, etc. Their website was down. They had no idea how many tickets had been purchased. And this is the season where they're most successful. They couldn't make payroll. They had to have a donor come forward. They had to have a sister organization take credit cards for the tickets that they could sell. If you haven't done this already, this is not an IT risk. This is a business risk. If you can't run your business for 2 to 3 weeks, right, this is where the problem begins. So I encourage all of you to do what I call a tabletop exercise. If you haven't done one already, do a risk assessment. I've seen loads of companies around today, Cyber74, but I always encourage, do a risk assessment. Have yourselves professionally be hacked. It's going to very quickly help you prioritize what you need to do on your company system. Okay, because this is where the attacks are constantly happening. Now, let's go back to, on this screen, we showed everybody worries about the disaster and the car accident that happens over here when there's been a breach. I want you all to worry more about how do you prevent things? How do you how do you actually stop it from happening? How do we think about phishing, authentication, and other elements? Now, in a business, we know that this is where phishing is where it starts. How many of you do phishing testing in your companies? Okay, we need to see more hands. If you've been playing with AI, you should also be doing phishing testing in your company. Now, in a work environment, a lot of us say, oh, I would never click on this email because I can tell it says urgent password reset. Dear client, written small, not personalized. Technology helps that. Something's misspelled. I would kind of say, I don't think I'm going to click on this, right? I'm going to not forward it, but I know. I'm going to verify it beforehand. And by the way, no financial institution I know will ever send you an email that says your account's been breached. Please click here for the password reset. No bank I know. Now, the issue is that a hacker can't get into your company. Again, you, for a hacker, are They see you as one person. We think of ourselves, this is me at work, this is me in my home life, this is me in my kids' life, this is me in my social life. The hacker says, no, 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 no. You stay smart at work, but you are very vulnerable in your personal life. You are absolutely don't have control. So a lot of us might get emails, like the Amazon email, the PayPal, Netflix, your membership is on hold. Click here. These are the people that were using your network or your Netflix password. Who was that? Let me click on that. We suspend belief. Same thing is we're all getting text messages, right? And you think, oh yeah, because you're constantly living with your phone. Do not click on the text messages or on the emails or unsubscribe because 95% of them are fake. Okay? If you didn't sign up for it, I don't want you to unsubscribe. You're like, okay, I get it. Dick's Sporting Goods is having a sale. I should have never put my name on that email list because I got it. You can unsubscribe from something you know you signed up for. You're like, why is Best Buy sending this? I never signed up for this. Block it. Okay? Don't. Also, when you get the text messages that say, to opt out, reply stop. If you didn't sign up for it, don't press stop. Tells the hacker on the other end that your phone number is worth more money. Now, the cyber criminals, there's an entire ecosystem. There's probably about 13,000 organized crime groups on any given day. Okay? They don't all just have one job. This is not amateurs. There's some that are excellent at harvesting credentials. There's others that are very good at putting together profiles, and there's others that are very good at targeting. Okay? They all have their own skill set. So this is where the credentials that we use and the information that is out there is often, we need to rein that back in. So a lot of us, when we think about, well, I've become more careful. I don't put my information out there. A lot of us are unaware that our identity is also out there because the devices we use every day, the PCs, the phones, are exuding information about us. So maybe I'm not Dorothy Klein, but maybe I also know it knows me by many different things. We know or think of ourselves in different aspects, but it knows us by our IP address, email address, phone number, browser history, app, location carrier, loads of other information. I can basically pinpoint Dorothy as well. Sorry, Dorothy. But this is where you have to start reining in your information. We use email today for two purposes, communication and login. I want you to use your email that we use for everything smarter. For the emails that you use for work, I'm going to pick on my friend Dorothy back there. Dorothy has an email, dorothy.klein@jpmorgan.com, right? That's all great. But where Dorothy knows not to use that email outside of work, I don't ever want her using that on Uber, OpenTable, frequent flyer account, Saks Avenue, Marriott, all these other sites that have been hacked. Because when a named email, hacker hacks into Marriott for the 100th time, and they see, ooh, is it Dorothy Klein at J.P.Morgan? Is it D. Klein at J.P.Morgan? Is it Dorothy.v.Klein? Right? They're going to look at the syntax of that email and blanket fish everybody else in the company. Don't use your work email address in places where you don't understand the security. All of you have a personal email account that is also putting you at risk. A lot of you have one with your name in it. Mark M, graduation year at gmail.com. How far off am I? Kind of close? Sort of. Okay. I'll figure it out before the end of the year. So a lot of us have a named email. I want you to do homework on that email account tonight, okay? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start hacking all of you at 2 in the morning. Okay, I want you to do homework on it, not on this account, not on your phone. I want you to do it on a large screen. Because here's what a hacker does. At 2 in the morning, they're going to come in, they're going to bypass Mark's email, the inbox, they're going to bypass contacts going straight to his sent folder. In his sent folder, they're going to look for 5 keywords: bank, finance, tax, password, medical. all of Mark's information comes up. I'll send it to myself, erase that I was in his account, and I'm on to you next. And then I just go around the table. I could probably get through this room in about 2 hours. Very quickly. Be the hacker on your own personal information and look at what would you not want a hacker to find in your personal email account. Okay? I want you to use email because we use email today for communication and logins. I want you to have additional emails that don't have your name in them. I love fastcars@gmail.com. You don't know my name, age, gender, ethnicity, location, nothing about Ileana. Okay? I love Fast Cars is a site that or an email that I use for my travel. These are all the things that I use where I don't need a name. I'm not communicating with anybody. So for all the login services, use emails that don't have your name in them. I use a different email that I use for online shopping. It doesn't have my name in it. Another email I use with charities that I work with that have horrible cybersecurity. Okay? Why would I give a charity the same email I use with my bank? If they're losing it out the back end, right? Don't use the same email. Don't use the same email that you use with your bank for your social media. Right? But this is one. I love you. So on your social media accounts, because everybody's guilty of it. They're like, oh, I don't want to tell you, but I do. Okay, I don't care what you do. Don't use the same email. Because this is, again, where if your email's in a breach, it's much harder to hack into you. You can set them up with Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook, MSN. Those are all Microsoft. iCloud is fine. No Yahoo emails. Graduate away from those. And no cable provider email. Also, very lax on security. Or not as good as security. So, two-factor authentication. I'm not going to be able to hack into Mark's account tonight at 2 in the morning if he has two-factor authentication on his email account. You need it on your banking account, on your email account, on your social media, on your shopping. In your workplace, if you don't yet have two-factor authentication, I bet you don't have cyber insurance. You absolutely have to have two-factor authentication in your business. And this is, again, where we go back and forth between business and personal. You have to have it. Okay? Talked to a gentleman earlier who's, oh my gosh, my rates have gone up by 4 times. I'm going to bet it also has something to do with two-factor authentication or the lack thereof. Okay? So you need to turn on two-factor authentication wherever offered. Embrace it. All right, passwords. Everybody's favorite. Right. So top 10 most hackable passwords. It's amazing that this stuff rarely changes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Password, admin, princess, 40, 1, 5, 7, 8, 9. Let me in baseball. I love you, football. Okay. Next 10 are about as idiotic. I can usually tell what region I'm in because when I go to certain regions, it's usually the name of the football team is usually in the next 10 or 20, right? But it's or whatever sport. So I sat with a lady who heads up a pretty significant office, and I could see her face change when I showed her the screen. And I said, Mary, is your password on the screen? She says, no, but the CEO is. It's like, now we have one of 3 problems. Okay, you know the CEO's password? Absolutely not, right? Not good. I now know it's 1 of 10. This is not going to be hard. And if you don't think that you don't have a nation state already in your systems because they're looking for your biotech information, you're in for a big surprise. So I just also had a company where a lot of us, oftentimes the C-suite will say, I don't want this password policy. This is too much of a pain in the neck for me. Well, I had a company in DC not too long ago. The chief operating officer had the same username and password, primarily password, for his personal life and his work life. They got into everything. Okay? He used the same password for everything in his life. And now the company has not been up for 3 weeks. It will probably fold. And his family has been, and also his cousins, relatives, and everybody else has also been harassed. It is very easy. This is where it's just as important to keep the passwords going. So we all know passwords should be longer, not shorter. A song, a phrase, a book title. 8 is never sufficient when it comes to password length. Okay, you need to be at 12 to 15, 17 if you can get there. Complex, not simple, uppercase, lowercase numerals, not written down. I don't know if anybody want to volunteer. Does somebody not have a password policy in their company? You're going to be an easy target if you do. Okay. But I know when I meet with companies, this is constantly a problem. So a lot of us, there are different tools that we can get to. You can keep it simple, but you have to keep it complex. Even if we think in our personal life, it's usually very something similar or very, very familiar, right? You can do different tricks like doubling a bad password, adding this, but I would love to see a lot of you go to password manager. How many of you are already using a password manager? Okay. Which one are you using? Firefox? Okay, that was an interesting answer. Okay, anybody else? Password manager? Bitwarden? Okay. Okay, so let's actually talk about, because there were some interesting answers that came up where people think they're on a password manager. Okay, a password manager is not Apple Keychain or Google Chrome that says, hey, want me to save your password in this, in the browser? No. Password manager is an app that goes on because it's 16 to 18 characters. It's encrypted, but as a hacker, hackers know exactly where that stuff is stored. They can pull it down. There are bots that do this today. They can pull it down and log on it on another machine as you in seconds. And I've seen it done. So, Password Manager is an app, and I'm not just picking on you because there's lots of people. Password Manager is an app that goes on the phone, desktop, laptop, iPad, Surface, whatever you got. The top three in the marketplace are Dashlane, 1Password, and Keeper. Okay, they all have 256-bit AES encryption. That's what I look for. Now, we're going to talk about LastPass in just a second. So what happens is I enter my name, username, and password on the password manager. Let's say I have Dashlane on here, and it says, Ileana, are you kidding? You got Roxy 2018 as your password? Come on. Big characters. I'd hack it. Do you want me to change that password for you? Yes. Please change that. And it changes my simple password to 1ZGF. Never have to remember that password going forward, because going forward it's going to go, I'm going to go through Dashlane to Delta, through Dashlane to Amazon, through Dashlane to Chase, through Dashlane to Wall Street Journal, whatever I've selected. Conversely, it's going to say, Ileana, Uber and American Airlines got hacked again. Want me to change those passwords for you? Yes. Please change it. So it works with you to change passwords. You can also use it as family. You can say, husband and wife can have different passwords on their device, but maybe there's certain ones they share. Amazon, Netflix, Uber, or something like that. Those can be synced. One person changes the password, it syncs to the other one. When it comes to businesses, I love password managers because businesses more than ever. I walk into a business, I see passwords on a whiteboard. I see passwords on sticky notes. I see passwords in laminated Excel sheets, and people proud of it. Right? So here's the thing. Mildred, the accountant, decides to retire. She's done. She's over. She takes that laminated Excel sheet with her. The likelihood that you're going to go down and change all the passwords on all the systems is slim to none. If you have a password manager in place, when the new accountant joins, Tanya comes in, you say, Tanya, you don't have to know a single password. All the apps that you've been entitled to use have been set up by the admins, and it's going to auto log you in. And if we need to fire Tanya because she's not working out, right, after 6 months, you're disabling her at the password manager. She's not walking away with passwords. So it is a fantastic tool, particularly those three if you have 50 people or less. If you're a larger organization, there are other tools that certainly a lot of the MSPs can help you with. But it depends on size. Now, LastPass. LastPass was favored child for a long time. They were the front runners, but Dashlane and a lot of the other ones caught up. LastPass, so let me first explain how you set up a password manager, why a lot of people worry. When you first set up a password manager, you have to set up a master password. Very long and complex, and you cannot forget that password. The password manager also has a very long and complex password that is appended to yours, and it's encrypted. Even if a hacker finds your password, they can't get into the encrypted portion of the password. Okay? When LastPass got breached, they did not get any of the encrypted master passwords, nor did they get the encrypted passwords beneath. But LastPass, shame on them, what they did not do is they did not encrypt their customer files. So we have the names of all the customers and the websites they visited. So those people are going to be ripe for social engineering and phishing. It's going to say, oh, part of your LastPass, and people will be clicking on stuff. So this is where we still believe in password managers. It's, again, way better than the laminated Excel sheet. But I want you to, use a password manager wisely. Okay? If you're like, oh, I don't want to put my banking in there, then don't. Put 85% of the passwords that you recycle all the time into the password manager and make those stronger. Okay? You've got to work with the system. So, another area where a lot of us, any questions on that? I'm going to pause there. Yes, sir. So Proton Mail, I do. I think it's an encrypted email site, and I think it all depends how you want to use it. So if I want to encrypt email, it's a fantastic solution. It's an email provider out of Switzerland, right? And there are a couple other providers as well that do similar. When I'm thinking about, but I don't want my valuable Proton email that I'm going to use for select purposes to be used on Uber, American Airlines that are constantly getting hacked. I want to use a throwaway or disposable email for that. Does that make sense? Because you've got to think about how you're using the email. To whom do you give it? That's where you want things very, very secure. If I'm just using it to log on as a pass-through, I don't have to worry about it. Okay? Yes?
Like your husband, wife, Netflix password, kids, whatever they change it, and you can't remember the password ever, so you reset it.
So this is where the password manager is fantastic, because if they change the password on you, they're never going to change it on you, because it's going to auto sync to your password manager. You don't even have to talk to them. It's going to auto sync between the systems. So if your wife changes the password, it auto syncs to yours and to the kids. The kids change it, it auto syncs to yours. Is that the question you were?
I'm always having to reset passwords because I can't remember.
So if you use a password manager, right? Oh, Mark, don't worry, I'm going to fix you up. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you out, Mark. Don't worry. But a password manager would be great for your family. And it's much easier to use. You're going to like it. I'm going to make you like it. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. What's important is just to remember again that for a hacker, we're opportunistic. They look at all the avenues. Now, where a lot of us, the whole world went remote for 2 years. Okay. Hackers went, wow, they're not in the brick and mortar buildings anymore. Let's go to their homes as well. And a lot of our homes, and this is also where cybercrime has taken off, they're in the system. They're in the router. I want you to think about this. This is where some people will still be working hybrid, right? We're still going to stay in this environment. And even if you think you binge watch TV and you work remotely and everything's fine, I want you to upgrade your technology. If you have a router that is older than 2 to 3 years old, it is time to upgrade. Because the cyber attacks that are happening now and they're coming into your home, the older firewalls cannot withstand. Okay? The new routers have 2 Wi-Fi networks on them by default. Same price. Okay? I want everybody in this room on your home network to be on the primary network. That's where you do your finances, your taxes, your sensitive information. If you like your spouse enough, they don't mess up the password, then they can be on that one too, right? But this is where sensitive information is done, right? Remote work and all this. I want everybody else in your house, including your children, be they 7, 17, or 27, to be on the guest network. You have no clue what your kids are downloading. They have no idea what they're downloading. they're playing games, all that kind of stuff. They need to be on the guest network because these two Wi-Fi networks do not speak to one another. They stay separate. And this is where I had plenty of cases during the pandemic where parents were freaking out. My kid's Xbox got hacked. They came up the Xbox and pivoted into my device. Okay? You need to keep your children separate and off the same network as you. Same thing, your neighbor comes in, your best friend, your brother-in-law, whomever. They're coming over to watch the game. What's your Wi-Fi password? You're not giving them the primary network. You're giving everybody the guest network. If you don't want them in your finances, you're not giving them the primary network. Now, how many of you have smart devices? Alexa, Roomba, Peloton, Sonos, Nest, fill in the blank, right? Everybody's got one. Roomba. Easiest things to hack from the other side of the world. They need to be on the guest network. Okay? I just had an office. They collected money at Christmas and said, let's go get one of those new Wi-Fi enabled Nest Cafe machines. So cool. They live in a colder environment, so they're like, we'll be able to start the coffee from the car. Their office got hacked. Why? Because they put it on this network, the primary network. It is very, very easy to do. Okay, so the same concept that you have in your offices, you want to do in your homes, same thing in your homes, you have to have in your offices. You have to segregate the two. Okay. I personally, last year, noticed my computer was busier than I was. And I said, it's bizarre. Let me check what's going on because I've put all the cyber controls in place that I know. Sure enough, I pulled in a company that does monitoring for businesses and homes. I know the guy very well. A lot of our clients work with him. And I said, I need you to come in. Sure enough, I had 3 bots in my home system. I had 2 bots that were actively looking for smart devices. Constantly looking, where does Ileana have her, this, that, or the other. Now, my Alexa is usually unplugged, and if she is online, she's on the guest network. Same thing with my Wi-Fi printer. Okay, I did not really. You can't see, smell, or taste this stuff. There was also a bot in my home network looking for passwords in the browser actively, and it starts with a B. I can't remember the name of it, but it is absolutely. It is happening to all of us, and so you have to be much, much more cognizant and this is where we all need to double down because it's only going to get more difficult. Okay, public Wi-Fi? Anybody working on public Wi-Fi, admittedly? No, of course not. Airport Wi-Fi, travel Wi-Fi. Okay, public Wi-Fi. You're on the same Wi-Fi with 200 to 300 people in the hotel, right? And this is where you have to be super careful. It's very, very easy. I've gone to law firms. There's actually one up in Baton Rouge. And I went in early and I changed the name of my phone to their Wi-Fi, the name of their firm. And I kind of played stupid when they came in. I said, hi, what's the Wi-Fi? And they said, prominent law firm, number 1. I'm not going to say who it was. And I said, oh, that's funny. I see 2. Oh, it's all the same. It's all good. And then here it is, right? And I was like, okay. So he just used it as a lesson to say, it's so easy to spoof a Wi-Fi name. If you are traveling, you can get a mobile Wi-Fi unit, a little jetpack. You can travel with. It'll be your own encrypted Wi-Fi. It costs like $35 at T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T. It can be your Wi-Fi. The other thing is the VPN. A lot of us use VPNs at work where we're logging in remotely. We log in and our information is protected. But this is oftentimes where when we're out and about and we're in the airport lounge or in the hotel and we think, I'm just going to be on for 3 minutes. It's going to be so quick. They won't even know I'm there. Oh, yeah, they will. It doesn't matter how long you're on a Wi-Fi, 3 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 hours. When you enter a username and password, your transaction can be captured or that information can be captured, right? So this is where they have, it's almost like a data lake of information where they can just pull that information. So I want you to also become familiar with a VPN in your personal life. The VPN The top ones in the marketplace for various reasons are NordVPN, and we're going to send you this list. Surfshark VPN, ExpressVPN, ForGuard VPN. And what happens is when I do go to the hotel, I immediately would open one of those VPNs up, and it would say, Ileana, where do you want to log in from? Between Albania and Zimbabwe. It gives me like whole list. And I'll go, never been to Portugal, dying to go. I'll log in through Portugal. For the session, when I log in, the IP address, my IP address is going to appear as if it's coming from Portugal. And my bank will question me and say, are you sure? You don't typically log in from Portugal. And I'll authenticate myself with two-factor, and then it'll go through and then say, oh, it is you. Okay, you can go ahead. But authentication, this is where it's so important. So any of you already use some of these tools in your personal life? Okay, love to see more hands, right? This is where you have to just get better and better at this. And we're going to talk about privacy in a minute. Now, I did this last year, but I want to do this exercise again. Let's get out our phones. Make sure everybody is secure, because your phone is talking to a lot of people as well. Okay, everybody who's got an iPhone, I want you to go to Settings. Okay, and in Settings, I want you to tell me, raise your hand if your name is at the top of the phone. Okay, I want you to strongly consider changing that. Okay, if you have an Android, maybe it's just your device name, but I want you to change the name on your phone. So if on your name, drill down onto your name, it says name, phone numbers, email. Drill down again. Keep drilling down until you get to first name, middle name, last name. On the first name, middle name, last name, and I'm going to tell you a brief story. I was on a train between Boston and New York. Of course, I'm not on the Amtrak Wi-Fi. And I decide, oh, God, I've got to upload my work. I've got to upload stuff. I'm going to use my phone as a personal hotspot, which is way more secure. I see my name of my phone, but I also see other people's names. I'm thinking, I'm kind of bored, don't want to do work just yet. So I Google one of the names that I see in the list. And I happen to see Carla DeMarco. I'm like, all right, let's Google her. She's sitting catty corner to me in the train. And this lady has been blathering on for 2 hours. Okay, about the deal they're doing, company they're buying, the problems they're going to have. And I'm like, oh my God, I have inside information. This is like a lot. I Google her one more time. I'm like, she's not only, I know that she's CFO, she went to Harvard and has 2 kids. I think I got to help the sister out because this is not good. So I lean over to her and I say, Carla DeMarco. And she says, yes, you look so familiar. I'm thinking, I can't make this stuff up. I go, no, you don't know me at all. I said, but I know you. You work for this company. You're CFO of this company. You went to Harvard, have 2 kids, but you're buying this company for this amount of money. I know everything because you had your name on your phone. Took 2 seconds to Google her and put all the pieces together. Change the name of your device happens to have received your name on your phone. It's not your name. It's your device's name. You can change the name of your device to be your favorite cartoon character, your favorite breakfast cereal, your favorite drink, ranch water, guac and chips, Frosted Flakes, Julius Caesar. Change the name of your phone. You have to have a first name and a last name. Don't leave it with your full name on it. Because that kind of stuff happens all the time. People sitting in airport lounges and stuff like that. Okay? So there are other things that we're going to be sending you through this. You're going to be getting a copy of this, but also in settings and privacy. You go to the main menu of settings and privacy. By the way, if you email somebody, you're not going to be Julius Caesar. You're still going to be you. Okay, your email will stay the same. Only your hotspot and your airdrop name will be changed. And if somebody goes, who's chocolate chips? Just go, oh, it's me. Right? It's all fine. But you're not going to be whatever, Batman, when you email somebody. Okay, on your main menu of settings, you go into privacy. You're going to see a screen much like this. Contacts, calendars, reminders, photos, Bluetooth, local, whatever. I want you to click on camera. When you click on camera, you're going to see all the apps that have 24/7 access to your camera. Why? Why do they have 24/7 access to your camera? Why do they have access? Tonight, when you do homework, you're going to look at which apps have access to your photos. Why? Why do they have 24/7 access to your photos? A lot of people convince themselves this is because of facial recognition. It's not. Okay? Facial recognition happens between the app and your phone. That's not the reason they have access to the camera. The other area I want you to look at is also tracking, right under location services. We need to all turn that off. Okay? The other area where hackers are getting a lot of information about you is through your devices. There's VPNs, the privacy reports, to go on a whole day on this. But I want you to disable tracking. When you go onto a website, there's first-party cookies and there's third-party cookies. A lot of people don't know the difference. You have to accept cookies, you even look at the site and you think, oh my gosh, here we go. Right? First-party cookies are things that will help you navigate the website properly. It'll help you move around. The website remembers where you are. But what you don't realize is that your dear friends at Google, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft are selling your information to whomever wants to pay, to third-party trackers. It's like having 17 people follow you around the store, watching what you're buying, what you're doing. If you disable tracking in your browsers, on your PC, and on your phone, you can avoid that. And again, less information that is collected about you. You have to, again, understand that your work and your personal life all come together. Antivirus. Please tell me everybody's using antivirus. I know in your company. Everybody using antivirus at home? You have to use this. So I walked in, I was just in Houston on, what day is today? Yesterday and the day before. And I walked into an office and a gentleman, they have a $7 billion business. And the gentleman said, I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to be able to sit through your presentation because I just got 400 emails that are all being sent to me right now on my phone. See? And I said, you are currently under attack right now, okay? Because he tried to download something and the 400 emails came in. So let's go right into your office right now. What is your antivirus saying? I don't know. Which antivirus should I use? Was his response. Okay? This, I'm not, you might think, come on, everybody will get it. No, this is a $7 billion company. I said, let's start with this one and this one. And it ran for 2 hours. Well, I said, meanwhile, you can sit through my presentation because this thing is going to run and it found over 400 things. Don't assume everybody does this. And this is not even to mention his home computer. I thought I have an Apple. I don't need that stuff. You need to use. You can use Bitdefender, Norton, McAfee, but Sophos, S-O-P-H-O-S, Intercept. Also talk to your managed service provider about what's going to be right for you, but you need it on all your devices. Just kind of think of it like this. It's like never having cleaning solution in your house, ever. Kind of gross. Run the antivirus. That's what it's doing. Okay? Social media. Everybody's on it. Don't tell me you're not on it. I don't even believe you anymore because everybody, if you're related to people who are on social media, you're on it, right? This is where too much information is also being collected, and also I can find out everything about you, right? We have loads of cases where information is this. This is why we always stress, why are you still using your real mother's maiden name online, okay? Make up an online mother's. My mother's online maiden name is eggplant. Eggplant parmesan is mom's favorite dish, okay? Pick a vegetable. And if you can't remember, right, put it in your password manager in your notes on what you picked. My sister's Instagram tells people where my favorite vacation destination is at the track. Make it up. Be creative, but you've got to figure it out. Or you can't figure it out, take the fourth word of the question they ask you and do something with that word that you can always remember. Right, and add prefixes and stuff like that. I know we've talked about a lot of different things in today because it is a very encompassing topic. You'll all be getting information on how to better protect yourself on email, passwords, home networks, Wi-Fi, all these topics. But also in your company, you have to do it's the same. You have to balance this out on both ends, right? Data access and handling. Who's using data? Authentication. Authentication. It's going to be the name of the game when it comes to AI, right? Money movement, training your employees, so critical. Please try to ensure that your business managers understand that this is a business risk and not a cyber tech risk, where a lot of people go. But this is where try to be more anonymous online, both personally and professionally. Protect your devices and certainly protect your accounts. And if I will, so you will get resources. If you haven't yet played with the chatbot, okay, I have a couple things on where to find. You can try chatbot, Bing, or Jasper. If you're still sort of like, I'm not sure about this, there's some great movies you can watch. Anybody ever seen the movie War Games? Old classic, 1984. Ronald Reagan started the Star Wars initiative after he saw that movie. Freaked him out. Still a freaking movie. Okay? Coded Bias. Anybody seen that movie? Great movie. AI is what it is fed. The person who codes it, whatever they have in their brain, right, is often what is the AI tool will reflect. It's an excellent movie. Megan, if you really want more of a thriller, right, or they're all scary, trust me. Megan is also one of the more recent ones that came out, but they are all about AI. So get yourself familiar. This is a topic where we're at the forefront of we don't know all what, but it's important that you double down on all your cyber protection. With that, thank you, and I'll take any questions if you still have any. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's I think the encryption is certainly one that is, we all have to have a healthy mistrust, right? But the encryption, I think I was talking about it a little bit earlier, is we still feel good about that encryption, where none of the information that even was in a breach was not encrypted. When you're talking, are you talking about guarding the guard? Where are you? So in that, this is where, even when they did breach LastPass, they did not get anything that was encrypted because of the level of encryption. The one thing with LastPass, if you did have LastPass, you have to have an even stronger password. But I always say to people who still feel like, I'm not sure, I see way too many passwords that are constantly just recycled. This is where I still think it is. It's like a bank vault with two keys in it. You have a key, and the password manager also has a key. You cannot unlock the password manager unless you have both pieces of the key. And that is not, nobody has been able to get into that. Any other questions? Yes, sir. So if it's 90 days and it's 8 characters, it's not going to do it, right? I think there is a balance that every business has to find between frequency and length and complexity of passwords. So there's some firms that are making it super long, complex passwords and reducing the frequency, and others that have none, right, or have, I'll let you do 8 characters, and you have to change it every 90 days. I think businesses are going to have to find the balance. I will just tell you, J.P.Morgan has upped its employees' password length with a lot of grumbling. But we still will have to change it periodically. So I think you've got to balance it to, but I think a frequency is better than not. Another question, thought, feeling? Yes, sir. Yes. Some may not use TLS. Okay, so there is you don't know in all cases whether or not that is the case. So there's enforced TLS, there's opportunistic TLS, and enforced TLS. Transport layer security. I'm still concerned because, well, I mean, I myself had the bot in the home system, right, where I had every other control in, and it's still able to pull things down. So I don't know what every person has on each end. And this is why in a company, TLS is, if I enforce TLS between two companies, I feel good about that. But a lot of people don't have that. That's where, I don't know. Does that help? Trust nothing. If you log into your bank, right, I think I still wouldn't want a password in the browser. Don't do remember me, because you don't know who's also in your network. Okay? The app itself might be secure, and behind the website is secure, but I'm not sure if there could be a possibility in your network. Yes, yes. But it's oftentimes after you put in the username and password. Okay, that's often the yes, sir. Sure. So sometimes they've gotten much, much better in usability. I think there are certain VPNs that work well. Some people turn them off because they're frustrated. They don't always work with the access. So I look for servers that are outside the United States. The ones that I mentioned have very good usability with streaming services and things like that. Let's not do that. Yeah. Right. Yes, there's some places, I mean, I would go from, like the United States is going to be one, but if you are in another country traveling and you want to watch, something else, this is where there's certain countries that will be better, but I'm happy to talk to you. Yes, and I don't want to take any more time. Back to password managers, yes. Yes, yes. So does somebody who is in insurance want to take that question? Okay. I have seen that several insurance companies, particularly for smaller companies, are encouraging password managers because the alternative is that a lot of small firms are writing these things on easy, chalkboards and whiteboards, and you can very easily say, I want to change all the passwords, right? So I think it's a better alternative. One last question, and then I'm going to make sure it goes out. I think, at the end of the day, it comes back to the user. You're going to get a lot of people who are going to be, the employers are going to get restless, right? They're going to be upset. So it's always, I think, a balance between the two. But yeah, you could go with one-time passcode. You can do that, but I think it's that balance where they're not going to take you outside. That kind of thing. Pardon me? Yes. Right, and some of them are going to that, but I'm exactly right. I think small and medium-sized businesses, they're often the ones where they're doing more with less, and that's why sometimes they're not always able to hold true to the other thing. So thank you so much. Thank you so much to you.